Good blessed Friday night, November the 12th, 2021. It's about 5:12 p.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. It doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest to the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. It doesn't matter if you're light-skinned or dark-skinned. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white or any other nationality. I still greet you with that. It doesn't matter whether you like me or anything that I publish or put on social internet. That's your prerogative. To like, dislike, to stay silent, or to be critical. That's your prerogative. I like to address a few things tonight. First, I want to say that I'm praying for families all across this nation, all across this world that's losing family members with this senseless violence. Also, individuals who have family members with medical conditions. That's just me. But I like to try to awaken some people. I like to try to awaken especially the black community. In any other community that's concerned what's going on in the black community in some of the other places. I'd like to address first the sadness of hearing about the young black female out of the Chicago suburbs, Wheeling, Illinois, who was just recently found strangled in her apartment. And a search was on for her 1-year-old daughter. I believe the search ended today or yesterday, finding her 1-year-old daughter in a pond in, I believe, some part of Indiana, dead. They apprehended an individual in Springfield, Missouri, who was last seen doing some shopping with her in Illinois. And I think they waiting extradition to bring him back to Illinois. If he in fact strangled this female and killed this young baby, I pray that God allow the system to get him his due punishment. And that go for anybody out here doing all these senseless killings and murders. But I want to also show y'all how God works. Some people in Carbondale, Illinois, they think that they done got away with the murder of my son, Brian Lamont Johns, who was found hung, lynched on March the 19th, 2021 on a Friday. In the 400 block of North Oakland Street, on the third floor in the hallway, shirtless, in a weather that is 40-something degrees. Body found on the third floor of Oakland Street, and right around the corner in the 400 block of Sycamore, his T-shirts found by a white female who changed her story several times and decided to take my son's shirts, so she say, into her house when she first woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning on March the 19th and found his shirts in front of her door in the hallway on the third floor. Then she all of a sudden conveniently changed her story. When this certain detective always come up, people changing their story, she remembered she had some food being delivered to her house for 12 o'clock. Well, not at her house, but downstairs. So she said she opened the door and found my son T-shirts at 11:13 and took them in her house. Now, if this is a death investigation and they find blood in different places, you would think they can find footprints in different places. You would think that they would get some DNA samples from out of her house to see if any blood in there, but they let her bring this stuff to her. But you see, they gonna have to answer to God, because you see, they can do all type of research, find some female, more than likely she was white, who said that she didn't make a police report out. They didn't give no date or time or year when this incident's supposed to happen, but she claimed that my son robbed her at the Center for Empowerment and Justice, where a lot of homeless people go. My son happened to be homeless. I'm assuming she was homeless. He supposedly robbed her by means of putting his hand in her pocket, snatching $100 out and running. How many people that you know that have $100 in their pocket? Well, I do. I got about $100 in my pocket. But how many homeless people did you think that be going to the Center for Empowerment and Justice? They going for help, food, and all this other stuff. But this was their death investigation. Going down to Danville, or sending subpoenas down to Danville and warrants down to Danville, just to try to find anything to say he committed suicide. Why didn't the CSI lady, when the deputy coroner pried his hands open and took the money out that had blood on it, why didn't she put it in her evidence bag and just allow him to put it in the body bag that contaminated it? But you see, I just said that to let Carbondale Police Department, the Center for Empowerment and Justice, the Warming Center. I asked the Warming Center, when y'all get to putting them little plaques down for the dead homeless, I asked you not, you don't have the permission to put my son's name down there. You didn't speak up for him, so don't put my son's name down there like y'all was talking about all the homeless people that was dead, because if you do, I'm gonna put a lawsuit on you. You didn't care nothing about my son. Y'all didn't care nothing about my son. Only thing y'all cared about is that money that the city, the state, and the federal government is giving y'all. The Warming Center, the homeless shelter, Cornerstone, this black lady that y'all done hired for the Carbondale Police Department, talking about a crisis intervention person. All you want is money. But let me show y'all something now, how God works. You see, you know, the police department, they've been treating my daughter and me, my two daughters and me, real bad down here in Charles, Missouri. But let me show you how God turned things around. Now, a couple of individuals was coming out here continuously, 11-something at night. My security cameras got it. They was out here harassing us, disturbing the peace, frightening my daddy, frightening my mother. I mean, not my mother, may she rest in peace, and my daddy, but my two daughters. They was right out here on these corners up here. They came once, I called the police, but the police come after they left. But then when the police did show up, show you how God worked, God allowed the Missouri State Highway Patrol to come and park right here. You see, because the ones that was in the city here, they familiar with the two individuals that was out here. You know how I know they was familiar with them? Because they told me after they seen the actions of the only black on the Charleston, Missouri Police Department, the sergeant, and one of his white code workers, who's supposed to be a military man. He seen the way they act when the guy kept on coming down, and I told him if he come on my property, what I was gonna do to him. And the sergeant telling me I can't tell him. You don't tell me what to do on private property. If he'd have came on my property, I would have did what I said I was going to do because he done threatened me before. But let me show you what the sergeant them did, and let me show you how God worked it. The sergeant them, while the highway patrol was sitting there, standing there, the sergeant and his white co-worker, they went over here with these two guys. And see, God allowed their ignorance to be on Facebook Live. And they was recording it. Even though I wasn't their friend, but my thing wasn't private, and they tagged me with it, and I let my little young daughters record what they were saying. And what the sergeant was saying, the sergeant told them, oh, I knew y'all was gonna hand him some. And the white police officer told him, oh, Raymond not used to somebody standing up to him. And then he said, the white one told them, y'all have me rolling with y'all Facebook stuff. In other words, they was watching what these guys was doing, and they came late, but God allowed them to listen to what they said. And I made a complaint to him, to the chief of police, and the chief of police told me, if you stop cussing my officers out, which I didn't, but if you stop cussing my officers out, then maybe I'll do something with your complaints. Yeah, they was wrong, but he didn't do nothing. But let me show you how God made them look like a fool. On November, that chief of police, that sergeant, and that white officer, he made all three of them look like a fool on November the 5th, 2021. Right down the street on the 700 block of Vine Street, it was a fire down there. The chief of police, that black sergeant, that white officer, and about 9 police cars was down there. And I want y'all to look at the video where the chief of police, who wouldn't do nothing with that complaint, the black sergeant who thought it was funny what them guys was doing, but if I'd have took one of them life, they wouldn't have thought it was funny. And that white police officer, y'all see me interview him, and he said it was protocol what these guys, firefighters, supposed to be firefighters doing, going into a burning building or standing where black smoke coming out. It made all of them look like a fool because then none of them know what they was doing but one. But let me show you another thing what they do in the black community. The Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center, who's connected with all these sellout blacks and all of these corrupted white supremacist police officers and anybody else that's white supremacists, they took an old furniture company, G&H, right on the corner of Lee Street and Marshall Street. I believe it's 601 West Marshall Street. And they turned that bit, they fixed it up real good, just to have their programs in the black community. The same, don't put nothing back in the black community. The same with one of the NAACP, the last president of the NAACP here in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County. Not the one that's the present one, but the one right before that. He was renting out a house on Paul Street here in Charleston, Missouri, even to some of his kinfolks. Holes in the wall because they took videos and showed it to me. Snakes coming in, wires hanging all out of the place. And then he cussed her out and called her a B because she complained about it. But then let me show you what he did after he got her out of there. He done fixed that up. The house look, man, like you got a brand new house in the community. He don't live in it because he live over there on the white side of town, down the street from the police station and the firehouse that they done built up here in Charleston, Missouri. All the good stuff they put over there. All the stuff that they want to use the black people in, they put it here. But he done took that house and made it out of his office, and that should be illegal because you can't have no office building in this residential area. But let me show you something else that they do. Now, this here been up. I've been living on this side of town since January of 2007. Y'all see what this here say? Charleston is fading away. Charleston, Missouri, Charleston Department of Public Safety, police substation. And it has 2 numbers on it. It's 702 Vine Street. Now I have a phone number here that if you want to call the police, and then it got a hotline number here. If you get close enough, the hotline number unfaded out. But once I made a YouTube video to show that the hotline don't even work. Now you remember, this thing been shut down for over a decade. Now, even though them numbers is faded out, now you check this here out. I'm dialing this number up here. 573, where is it at? 683 4249. Now look what it says. Listen to what it says. I'm sorry that you can't, this number you reach is not in service. You see what it says up here? Department of Public Safety, Police Substation, 702 Vine Street, phone number, which is 573-683-4249. Like I said, they had a hotline right here too, but the hotline was saying you can't see the rest of it, but I don't know if it's 1-800 or 185, but the rest of it is 773-DOPE. Now, say for instance, if me or somebody that didn't live in this neighborhood was chased by somebody and they got away and they couldn't read this here number, but they can read this. This tell you, it's a universal sign that this is supposed to be help. They dial that number and it's disconnected. Then all of a sudden, they program it in their phone to show that they tried to call, but they land here dead because they false advertising. You see, this is what they leave in the black community. The police chief said that this building, when it was a sub-police department, a sub-police station for the Charleston, Missouri Police Department, he said it didn't deter crime. Now, who gonna be on this doggone corner and police is in here and get to shooting around? That go to show you he took $400,000, I believe, to remodel a police station here in Charleston, Missouri that don't even have a jail cell. He done built a new firehouse, and we seen down here on November the 5th, 2021, that the chief of police, who's the director of the police department, the director of the fire department, has that title, chief, and they couldn't even put out a fire in an apartment in the project. But see, that wasn't on KFVS 12 local news, but they just had the same type of fire in Kenneth, Missouri, maybe about an hour away from here, in the same type of like projects, and it was on the news. You know why it was on the news? Because it ain't political down there. Political here because anytime it's a shooting, the chief ain't gonna call unless it's something that benefit him. And these sellout house Negroes, they ain't gonna speak up. They would tell you that they come patrol these streets. The police said that they'd be on foot patrol. These preachers and these NAACP members, they said they come down here patrolling our streets. They don't patrol our streets. We patrol our own streets. The violence ain't stopped because of the NAACP, these preachers, the chief of police, the sheriff. It stopped because black folks in the black community, we begin to be village leaders. Think about that, y'all. Stop all this senseless killing, because these leaders don't care nothing about you. The ones that been around here 40 and 50 years, they don't care nothing about you. The ones here in Charleston, Missouri, they don't care nothing about you. Go look at what the chief. Go look at how the chief of police and these ministers and these NAACP presidents and vice presidents and members. Look what they doing. Look how they living. They living good. They building their offices in our communities. Got 4 or 5 vans like they feeding the community, saying that they feeding 200 or 300 people. They ain't feeding no 200 or 300 people. You know what they doing? They doing like a lot of these other preachers that's getting busted, saying that they feeding 3,000 people and ain't feeding no more than about 30. I done seen some of them take and throw the food that they had left over. Let me show you where I seen them throw it at. I seen it with my own eye. They took in the green garbage cans, trash cans, they took it and threw it right into the trash can. And see what's wrong now? The police is allowing certain blacks, you see what I'm saying, to inform on other blacks, but they let these certain blacks that inform on other blacks, like the ones that was attacking me, they let them attack other people. They let them shoot at other people. But when a felon pick up a gun and shoot back at these police snitches, then they going to jail. They waiting for me to go to jail. They want this voice to be silent, but my voice ain't gonna be silent whether I'm in jail or the graveyard. My voice gonna live on. Peace be still.